What's up, outliers? A quick GME update, keeping the cadence alive here. This should be a fast one because, well, a couple things happened, but none of it is super great, in my opinion, unfortunately. So we did see GameStop have a fair down day, 5% down, and it hovered right around 22 and a half ish. Right now, after hours, it's at 22.54 by 58. And we have now fallen below at least what I viewed as some near-term support. So now the question becomes, in my opinion, how far down does it go? You can already see from the recent conversation we have, this would be the next target I see online, which would be about 21. And that's just trying to find where people are transacting in the stock. But unfortunately, you can see here that this is where it corresponds on the volume node, about right there. And the volume node just wanes. And this is where it's actually the lightest, which is at like 18 and a half. So what that tells me, unless buyers step in some sort of really meaningful way, I wouldn't be overly surprised if the selling continued, is really what it boils down to, as much as I don't like saying that. The other thing is, if I look at the volume for today, you can see, if you look right at this spot when I bring it over today, you'll see that the sale volume today was 96%. So buyers were not really out here, and it was very, very much controlled by sellers. And the part that bothers me with this is that it accelerated. So if you take a look at this volume graph behind my head here, do you notice how essentially it starts drifting up? So let me get myself out of the way. So you see how it's kind of bottoms here and then it slowly drifts up. That matters actually to a pretty significant degree. And the reason why it matters is because that tells me that even though there's a whole lot of sale volume today, that more people are stepping in to conduct the selling. So that's what that looks like to me. Now, taking a look over at the options chain, I see the put side starting to come in a little bit heavy here. So we're now looking at a total put OI of 373,000 against 650 calls. We were just getting to a point where it was about 2-to-1 calls to puts, but that has changed a little bit. Now, the other thing that I am continuing to notice is this here. This is not unique, but it is important to see, is these 125s continue to be built out in the call side. And for the kind of more reasonable strikes closer to the monies, the 30s. And most of the activity we're seeing is being built out in 16 AUG. And this is something I've talked about before. This is fully expected. But the takeaway from this is, to me, that's where things start getting more interesting, because we have way, way more options in this expiration cycle. If we take a look at the 2 AUG, it's 112 calls to 49,000 puts. 9 AUG, 37 calls, 16K puts. And in case you couldn't tell, it's 37,000. It's not just 37. It's more than that. 16 AUG is 215 to 110. So there's just way more activity going on in the next primary expiration cycle. So what am I looking at going forward here? Well, I'm still keeping a really close eye on the options chains. And today I just did not see a whole lot that excited me to any significant degree. I did see this position roll through, but overall, it's still just not that massive of a trade. So if we take a look at this, it's a little over $200,000, but this is on the sale side. So somebody sold 2,847 of the 2 AUG 23 calls. So they are looking to pull in a lot of premium on these options on a relative basis. That's a ton of money for what this wraps up in capital, again, on a relative basis. On the call side, I'm sorry, in terms of the buy side, people buying options, I don't see a whole lot. I see a ton of these teeny options that are further out of the money, right? So we had 500 of the 33s that are worth a nickel, 489 of the 28s that are worth 8 cents, right? These are all just little options. Now, this gets a little more interesting, 392 of the 205s. So that I'm kind of keeping a really close eye on the build out of options chains. Where are we seeing options chains being scaled into? That matters to me quite a lot. So Overall, quiet day, not a whole lot to walk through. My short calls against my long shares. A lot of people get confused when I'm talking about short calls. I'm selling calls against shares. It's a way for me to manage the downside of the position. So on days like today, where my shares are not happy, the short calls are. So it offsets some of the holding risk of the position. It's, something that I'll do at a ratio to never cap the upside potential, but it allows me to handle smaller downsides like this. So that's what I'm seeing today. I'll see you all on the live session in a little bit. Be an outlier. See you guys later.